like to call the meeting to order for Parks and Rec Commission, March 13th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Mary Champagne,
Here.
Dave Tuttle, Leonard Jones,
Here.
Reese Clayton,
Here.
Leonard, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So, on our list is to elect a chair and a vice chair. Currently, Dave Tuttle is chair. Any comments?
I nominate Dave.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Dave as the chairman.
I'll third that.
Oh,
Perfect.
So, did anyone have any comments for vice chair? Any?
I would make a motion for Mary Champagne to be our vice chair.
I'll second that.
Thank you. And can I get an approval on the agenda, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second that. Second.
Let you do the minutes.
Has anyone had time to read the minutes for the January 10th meeting? I need an approval, please.
I would approve them based on, I've read them earlier this week.
I'd like to second that motion.
Thank you. And we're up to staff reports.
Park and Rec Meeting Commission, March 13th, staff notes, Tammy Ostrom, Menard Center Secretary. For the Arctic Winter Games, the opening ceremony was Sunday, March 10th, with the estimated attendance of about 4,082 people. We had many compliments on how smoothly the event ran, and special thanks to Wasilla Police Department for helping with the traffic flow. Right now, we are in full swing with the Arctic Games. We have U18 and U15 boys hockey, U19 girls hockey, the Dene Games in the turf area, and we have the closing ceremony on March 16th at 3 p.m. Our spring Learn to Skate class was a success with 132 students, the largest class for the season. Upcoming events, we are removing our ice after Arctic Winter Games for the upcoming Outdoorsman Show, which is April 12th through the 14th. We have the home show coming up, which is April 27th through the 28th, and high school graduations May 13th through the 17th. Cleanup Days is scheduled this year for May 6th through the 11th. We are only having 2 dumpster drop-off days, which will be May 10th from 5 to 7, which is Friday, and then May 11th from 9 to 4. We are looking for volunteers to help with the dumpster coverage. This year we'd like to have 2 volunteers for each day, and if possible, especially for Saturday, because I know last year it was really, really crazy on Saturday, and we had 1 volunteer, and it just kind of got a little nuts for them. So we're hoping to have at least 2 on Saturday. Our social media page for the Facebook for Wasilla Parks and Recreation followers went from 3,304 to 3,360. And then for our unfinished business for this meeting, I submitted a Parks passport sample for everybody to look at and kind of give some feedback. And then we also submitted some response to the commission park and recreation ideas and recommendations. Jesse with the parks gave some information on some of the information that you guys submitted. And then we also still have a seat D that is vacant for the Park and Recreation Commission. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Tammy.
Jesse was supposed to be here, but I don't know.
And I don't think we have any public comments. Can I get a motion to move into committee of the whole, please?
I'll make a motion to move to a committee as a whole.
Second?
Second that. Second.
Thank you. So, thoughts on the passport?
I got to look through it over the week, and I thought it's overall really cool. Love the colors. Design-wise, I think it's going to really do what we've wanted it to do, which is get kids kind of interested. Get the Star Award, which I thought was kind of cool to kind of put into it. So.
I like the size of it because it's not too big and it's not too small. If they're really tiny, they're just kind of hard to do anything with, you know, and they get kind of lost. My only comment was on some of the pages that the yellow lettering was kind of hard to read, but it's not really a big deal. It just blends in. But overall, I like how the whole booklet is put together. So Tammy, what was the ETA for printing, do you know?
Let's see, we are in March right now. I want to say it was April. She's just waiting for me to kind of look things over and give her. Sorry, she's waiting for me to look over the passport and give her, you know, recommendations on what we want to change, and then she was gonna finish it up and have it ready. So.
Any comments?
I have a comment regarding the text, the font. Can you see is it me, or has it got a blur to it, a little fuzziness around some of the text? Not all of it, some of it, but there's.
It might be just the
In my printer too.
the color
Okay.
overlay didn't match
Yeah.
up.
No, I just thought I'd throw it out. But that's the only thing I saw. It looks really good. Pictures could be improved, but I'm sure it would. Looks good.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw some of my notes. There are some pictures where
Yep,
I
saw it.
asked her if she could kind of find something different, and I know on the back, you know, maybe change out. I kind of wanted to keep the same information on the back couple of pages, but maybe change out the pictures and the font so it kind of, and the back page too, so it goes with the rest of the book. I think she was just trying to kind of see what we want and if we want to keep it and.
I think overall it does really well for what this committee was looking for. It gets to the point, it gives us the facts that we were kind of looking to tell the residents about, and it allows us for us to get some feedback and kind of get some data based on how many kids use this to participate and stuff like that. So I think the final one, some of these pictures will definitely look a little bit more polished, and the text will look a little bit more polished, and does really what this committee was looking for it to do.
Can I make a suggestion about something though? It doesn't have to do with the park's passport, but the park. They're under Destination Nunley. Number 1 is, did you climb on the caboose and play on the playground? The caboose, last I recall, wasn't really set up for anyone to actually climb on it, although they do. So maybe a safe railing and a safe step. I mean, that's the fun part, is climbing on the caboose. I just recall the steps.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The caboose is pretty rough around the edges, so definitely something we might want to look into a little bit.
It's been there, what, about 35 years?
No,
No?
No.
How many?
No.
Longer?
no, no. That was
No,
brought,
that's the railroad.
no, that was brought in, from another location, and I would have loved to have actually watched it being put into place.
Oh,
There used to be a tennis court over there,
Yeah.
but it was, in need of extreme maintenance, and it wasn't really getting used for tennis court because of that. That was brought in somewhere else, from somewhere else.
You
But-
so know the history.
But it's cool.
No, it is cool.
What year did they move it over? What, early 2000s now?
Wow. I would say 12 to 15 years ago, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, somewhere around there, yeah.
Right.
You know when you're getting old, when.
When you can't remember, how's that? Certainly seems older than that to me. I've been here since 1984 in this valley. And I remember seeing that thing a whole lot sooner than 12 years ago, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, you might have another location.
That's true.
Because it was somewhere else before.
It was
Yes.
in Palmer.
Maybe, well, it
Close
could have
enough to
been at one
Palmer,
point.
Corner
When
area,
it
I
went
think.
to
Somewhere else.
Camper Park area.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
The area, not in.
No,
but
no,
area.
no. No, that's
But-
cool. But it's still there. That's good. And like you say, most likely it needs some maintenance.
So, overall, is it a go? Is there something that needs changed, or?
I think again, it should be a go, and we should try to get this published because it's looking like a pretty good direction.
I'd second that motion.
Sounds good, thank you very much. Can I get someone to make a motion to exit committee of the whole?
I'll make a motion to exit the committee as a whole.
Second?
Hey, second.
Thank you.
You bet.
And on to new business, any new business?
No, this is a nice list.
It's on the back page too.
I see.
So I do want to make a comment on this Parks and Recreation Commission ideas. We have developed a BMX park on here, and I think the pump track idea is actually what we're looking to do. Biggest thing is having multi-purpose areas get developed for the whole entire city, be it infrastructure or be it parks like, you know, pickleball and tennis and areas that it can be shared by multiple users. That's what the city kind of needs to look into. One thing I don't see on here is we mentioned dog parks too. Trying to get kind of more established dog parks and stuff like that. So
In the back.
definitely some stuff that we might want to, oh cool, here it is. Definitely very important though that we kind of dissect it and make sure that what they're being used for is kind of multi-purpose.
So one thing I'd like to comment on is the rest, it's listed as barrier divider inside restrooms of Newcomb and Carter Park. We need to have some sort of restrooms at the parks, even if they're portable, because to encourage people to come to the parks, And kids are kids. They're not gonna wait until they get home. And, you know, it's just a good thing all the way around to have a space provided if you're having people. And there seems to be money when other things need done. So I don't know where something would get swapped around or where the funding exactly would come from, but, you know, they've been sitting in the same spot for a very long period of time.
I think the infrastructure of the city is really critical right now, especially as we're developing stuff that maybe not today we're maxing the capacity of, but we need to kind of build with that. Hey, it's kind of like the Menard with the Arctic Games. Had we not built it with this huge, you know, extra space there, we would have been in a bad position right now. So we really need to plan with the future. Bathrooms are kind of very critical infrastructure that we have to have at these parks if we're going to manage them. You know, if we can't offer that service, we need to look into alternatives possibly for that then.
Any other comments, or is this a list we just want to come back and revisit?
Is it true here? Go ahead.
I think that it might be something that I'd want to revisit and see if we could talk into some depth. One of the things that I was going to kind of bring to this council is we're definitely at the point where we need to figure out maybe some programs, something that is going to be feedback that we can provide to the city council and maybe be the full program in terms of, okay, if we have bathrooms, how can we add cameras and all that? The city needs to kind of figure a whole program for their parks, you know. Basically, what's Parks 2.0? What are we going to manage and what is going to be something that we need the community to manage? Then we need to make sure that the community knows that so that we can have the proper groups kind of come in and hopefully take care of that and do a really good job at it for us.
I can't add to that. I guess I do have one question. The very last piece, need to replace the playground equipment at Wonderland Park. Now, this one I've been watching for years too, though, but I don't have any kids anymore that play on this, but I mean, it appears to be out of date and out of compliance with more modern technology. Is that something that I've heard and I assume around here?
So some years ago, there was studies being done on the wood structures themselves and being on the subsurface, because had this been in a warmer climate, they wouldn't have lasted as long as they did. And I'm gonna say for 5 years plus, I've been hearing we need to find another location for a park. Myself, it would be nice to either literally build right beside what is there, rather than find another park, because there's only so much space. But that's just my thoughts. But there are certain things that need TLC. And in the park in the past has been shut down for, you know, days at a time or a week at a time for groups to go in and restain.
Have there ever been any injuries there that have called EMS out to one of the parks that we know of? No? Okay. Just wondered. That's good. That's good.
I do know that we have done some renovations, especially last year when we changed out the fence. I mean, we had a wood fence there for a billion years. You couldn't see through it. Now it's a metal fence, so you can see through it. At that time, they did touch up a lot of the wood. I know the maintenance, Scott and Jesse were telling us all about kind of the updates that they had done, and they did improve the park quite a bit. I think you said it, kind of the big thing, we're kind of running out of space. We've maxed out a lot of that park, and we're running it out of capacity there, so we need either more space or we need to look at one of our other parks as being kind of a secondary form of traffic that we can send people to. I do think one thing that I see very challenging is, again, that infrastructure. The parking lots, as we've developed and as we've done that, even going by the park every morning right now, you see people running their dogs and walking, and the swings this morning were super busy, but now the parking lots are already getting pretty full, and if you put a dumpster in there, you know, it's just not really designed for it. So we really kind of have to think about that as we add more people going to the park. How can we make sure that there's proper parking? You know, if we're gonna have a 4th of July there, how can we make sure there's proper parking so people can get there? And yeah, it kind of sucks as the city side to have a parking lot that we pay for, but it's kind of the reality is we need to make sure that if we do push people to go to one area, that we have that proper infrastructure, because sadly a lot of it ends up spilling into the surrounding areas when we do have that type of stuff.
So, some years ago, there was a plan for developing the area, right behind the Chevron station. And, it was talk of a dog park, it was talk of a whatever park, and then last I heard, it was talk of a parking lot. Well, because when there was different vendor markets there, they needed a place for parking. So that was another access point, but I'm not sure where all of that left off.
One thing that I got used to while traveling is you pay for parking everywhere because, again, if you don't want your car broken into and you want certain things, you just kind of have to pay for parking. The city, as we develop and stuff like that, that might be a form of possible income for them is as much as, hey, I don't want to pay $2 or $3. Hey, realistically, as we provide certain services like bathrooms, we are going to need that type of stuff. So parking lots might be something that the city might have to eventually offer, especially if you think like Main Street. Okay, if Main Street gets any more traffic on it, what are we going to do? We really need to start to think about that infrastructure. And yeah, we're Parks and Recreation, but you know, parking lots kind of go hand in hand with the Parks and Recreation. Hopefully allowing secondary transportation to also develop a little bit too.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I don't have any, no. Sorry.
Nope.
Well, I'm glad that we had this meeting so we can go ahead and get the, parks passports moving forward. And hopefully they'll be at the schools or wherever the points are before school's out. And have kids using them and other people using them this summer. And Tammy, any comments?
I did have one last comment. One thing that I think we should probably take in consideration, especially with our committee, as we do the cleanup day and stuff like that, we might want to consider as we do these events, what could we do maybe in the downtime to keep people more active with the city? One challenge is it seems like we're really busy in the summer, and then in the wintertime, again, it's really quiet. So maybe having some type of more consistent involvement with the city, be it having smaller events or something of that nature, I think that would be something that the city might want to consider as well. That communication between you and your city is very important. So if you do have a little bit of events going on, I think that the community is definitely ready for that type of stuff.
So just of past things that I can recall from a long time ago, Parks and Rec Commission discussed having a sledding day. It was always a shot in the dark because we never knew when we were having snow. And then, whether you could serve hot chocolate or not, just something. Having Kite Day, because there is a national Kite Day, and the Sledding Hill area is a good spot for that, and actually that whole open area. But those are just random thoughts that came up before.
So maybe as a committee, that would be something that we could give to the city council. It would be kind of cool for them to maybe provide some ideas of possible Parks and Recreation based events or something like that we could collaborate with, because yeah, we have our cleanup day and stuff, but realistically, a lot of our events have kind of dried up. Maybe it's time to maybe think of some new stuff. I know we had like the Arbor Day run and stuff like that. Same thing. We're kind of at that point where it would be nice to see some new life come to the city.
Thank you. Any last comments? Okay, our next meeting is actually, according to this, after cleanup day starts. So I think if anyone has any comments regarding cleanup days, meanwhile, to go through Tammy and email her and let her know if someone has time to help with the dumpster or anything else along the way.
That date again, Tammy, was what? Yeah.
It is May 6th through the 11th, and we're having the dumpster drop-off day May 10th from 5 to 7, and May 11th from 9 to 4.
I'll be meeting with a bunch of my local groups this week and next week, and same thing, trying to figure out that next big step. Youth 360, for example, is trying to set up some summer programs, winter programs. I think that's the big thing I hear from a lot of the groups that I worked with is especially during COVID. They saw a lot of changes, stuff was weird. Now they're on the other side of the mountain and they're ready to kind of get back onto a steady program based or steady, hey, let's keep on going type of program. So same with cleanup days. Hopefully we can get some volunteers this time, and then hopefully we can continue to offer more volunteer and more time so that people have more availability for the cleanup day.
Thank you. Okay, our next meeting is May 8th, 2024, 6 p.m., City Hall.